Increases in crime, increases in unemployment, unsustainable population growth, and a housing market on the brink of collapse. How many of these issues are linked to immigration? And how do Canadians feel about this contentious issue? For decades, Canada has been viewed as one of the top destinations for immigrants, and many Canadians welcome the diversity with open arms. However, in recent years, there has been a shift in how Canadian citizens view immigration. Across all political parties, more people feel there are too many immigrants, according to the poll. 45% of Liberal voters felt that way, compared to 43% who said Canada was accepting about the right number. In contrast, 76% of Conservative voters think immigration levels are too high, and that sentiment reaches even the highest levels of government.
This NDP Liberal Prime Minister is not worth the cost is that he picked the most incompetent immigration minister in Canadian history and put him in charge of housing. The guy who lost track of 1 million people, who's blamed by his fellow cabinet colleagues for causing the housing crisis, and who presides over the most expensive housing market in Canadian history. When I was minister, the average rent was $950, and we built hundreds of thousands of units at that affordable price. So why won't he learn from our smashing success in 2015 in keeping costs low by axing the tax and building the home?
As of right now, there is a clear disdain for the current policies in Canada. However, the Liberal government is trying to remedy the situation by imposing new restrictions regarding the number of visas for international students.
Today, I am announcing 3 principal measures. 1, a temporary 2-year cap on new international student permits. It is the latest in a series of measures to improve program integrity and set international students up for the success in order to maintain a sustainable level of temporary residence in Canada as well. To ensure that there is no further growth in the number of international students in Canada for 2024, we are setting a national application intake cap for a period of 2 years. For 2024, the cap is expected to result in approximately 364,000 approved study permits, a decrease of 35% from 2023. In the spirit of fairness, we are also allocating the cap space by province based on population, such as that some provinces will see much more significant reductions.
Even as the federal Liberal government is pledging to restrict the number of international study permits, its own data shows Canada is approving permits at a faster pace than last year, which already saw a record number of approvals. Just 200,000 study permits were handed out in the first 5 months of 2023, and by the end of the year, nearly 700,000 study permits had been granted to foreign students. In contrast, Canada handed out 216,000 international study permits in only the first 5 months of 2024, a number that outpaces last year. Nonetheless, some don't agree with this new policy, which has sparked protests around Canada. International students have been recognized as a significant factor affecting housing and rent affordability in cities across Canada, particularly in Ontario, which is the top destination for most foreign students.
We see this on the streets of Toronto, where refugees are living on the pavement. It wasn't like this 8 years ago. When refugees came to Canada, we had them sponsored by charities, churches, mosques, synagogues, other nonprofits to give them homes, help them write resumes, and get them fast work permits so that they could get jobs and paychecks. We see it in the new movement online of immigrants who are saying they're going back because they can't afford to live here in Canada. After 8 years of Trudeau, many immigrants feel like they're better off where they came from because the costs and the crime that Trudeau's policies have unleashed make this country unlivable for newcomers and for those who've been here a long time. I want to get back to common sense immigration. The numbers should be driven by the number of employers who have job vacancies that they cannot fill with Canadians, by the number of charities that want to sponsor refugees, and by the families that can reunite and support their loved ones here, not by egotistical targets that are designed to give Justin Trudeau a vanity project. We need to get back to competent immigration. By the way, we need to expand housing construction. It's all well and good to think that you can increase the population by 1 million people in a year, but where are we going to house everybody? We now have, last year, we built fewer homes than we built in 1972. Think about that. In 1972, our population was 22 million, and we built 250,000 homes. Last year, our population was 40 million, and we built 219,000 homes. So we have nearly double the population, and we're building fewer homes. Is it any wonder why we have a homelessness crisis, why 9 in 10 young people believe they'll never be able to afford a home, why we have 70-year-old nurses who are living in vans after 8 years of Justin Trudeau's total incompetence on everything from immigration to housing to health care. Our country is falling to pieces. I will put it back together with common sense immigration, common sense healthcare, common sense housing policies that get things built. Thank you.
Canada is at its limit. Will Pierre's policies be enough to save Canada and reform the immigration system? One can only hope. The housing crisis is another issue entirely. However, the sudden mass influx of immigrants is not helping. Simply put, Canada cannot support these immigrants right now.